Right. Thanks a lot for that, Sonia. By the way, we have Grasim's numbers that are flashing for you on the screen. And in terms of the consolidated numbers or the share price, bulk of it comes in from its holding in Ultratech Cement. But we're looking at the standalone business. And just two numbers is what you should track. It appears as an operational miss because the VSF business, the EBITDA number is coming at around 63 crores. I'm looking at Kotak's estimates. Well, they were working with a number of close to 130 crores odd. So the VSF business on the EBITDA front, it was expected to decline, but it's declined more than expected. So that's point number one. The second factor is the chemicals business, which was expected to contribute bulk of the profitability of the EBITDA. Well, that, Kotak had put out a number of around 580 crores. It's coming at around 490 crores odd. So there's a miss on both their verticals, VSF as well as chemicals business. That's why the standalone business goes down as a bit of a miss. We'll be waiting for any kind of clarity in terms of what's the outlook on paints, when do they launch this division, and how are things shaping up as well. So we'll get to that in just a bit. Mehraboon Irani joins us on the show. Hi, Mehraboon. Good afternoon. Well, any view on some of these frontline stocks, whether it's Grasim, the numbers have just come in, but a broader outlook in terms of Grasim, how do you approach the stock? And the other one is Eicher Motors that Sonia just spoke about. They've launched the Hunter. It's doing good for their volumes, but margins are coming under pressure.
Well, Grasim, I would like to give it a pass, honestly. But Eicher Motors, let me say something that while the margins are under pressure, we very well know that numbers on the surface looks quite good. I think margin pressure, if that is a concern to the market, it's bound to happen. You have had an excellent response for the newly launched Hunter 350. The higher sales for the Metro version as compared to the Retro version. Now, if you believe in this, that's the value engineering, the pricing initiative, the pricing action, and the flexibility to ramp up production ultimately to 100% as far as the Metro version goes. I think if that should improve margins, my answer would be yes. That certainly happens. So it takes its own time to happen. So if that is the reason why the margins have come down and why the street is disappointed, I personally believe that if one believes in this value engineering and the pricing action where this company is bound to take for the Metro version, I think margins should improve going ahead. Also, the stock has reacted quite well from its recent peak of by 20-25%. So I would say at this present price, I would not be too hesitant to possibly say that Eicher could be bought into. That's my personal feeling. At 3,000, 3,100, I think it's a decent buy. Also, we need to understand CV sector is on a growth path. Also, the MCHV and the buses segment certainly is much below its peak of 2018-19, but the recovery normally takes 4 to 5 years for a new peak to come. So if all that things are understood well by the market, I think going ahead over the next 12 to 18 months, I think the numbers will be much different than what they are today on the positive side. So I would say at 3,100, if I was holding Eicher Motors, I would certainly not be selling in a hurry. In fact, I would look for the price to settle down maybe a little bit lower from here and possibly add to my holdings.
Mehraboon, afternoon. Any thoughts on Eicher Motors? We just had the management of Bharat Forge, Baba Kalyani, on the show, and he seemed to suggest that the overseas performance, the EBITDA losses in their overseas subsidiaries will come down in Q4 and in Q1 of FY24. That's 2 quarters, hence it will perhaps turn around. And they've incubated so many businesses, whether it's defense or it's on the electric vehicle side. He was bullish on the construction equipment space, the casting business, and it appears all these businesses are at an inflection point, and at some point it's going to start firing for Bharat Forge. Would you be a buyer in Bharat Forge, and your thoughts on the business and the way it's moving?
Well, I've tracked this company for many years, if you ask me, and I think more often than not I have been disappointed, to put it in a very blunt manner. But yes, the company has made good initiatives. It's come out of it's developed new frontiers for growth. It's gone beyond its core business over the years, and I think the investments which it has put, certainly in sectors like defense and EV, and like you rightly mentioned, and I agree with you, they are at an inflection point. But we need to understand we are in an environment in which this company depends quite a bit on the European Union and on the US, which both of them have their own macro concerns at the point. So while a guidance is a guidance, ultimately a promoter is going to speak that things should improve, and I'm not saying no. But I would say traction, if any, should be happening in this defense and EV business, and that is the way to look forward for this company and for us investors. But the valuation at which the stock is, I think 27 or 28 times FY24 earnings, Is it a screaming buy in this market environment? I would certainly not be in a hurry to recommend this stock. And as I mentioned earlier also, I think guidances are guidances. How much of that gets fructified and how soon it will get fructified is a different issue. The company will do what it can. And as I mentioned earlier, it has made initiatives in the right segment, and those segments are going to grow. But how soon it will happen and how much it will happen is a different call. The stock is certainly not cheap in terms of valuation. So if it shares maybe about 5-10% from here, possibly one can look at it a little bit more favorably than the level at which it is right now.
Okay, all right. On that note, we will take a break. By the way, some of the agriculture-related stocks or fertilizer stocks, you can call them that, are doing extremely well.